"I have 2 young children," the mother angrily exclaimed at the adolescent, making her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Heads turned as she said furiously, "You should have offered that seat to me the moment you saw me step on this bus, young man." Without hesitation, he stood up and met her gaze directly before bending to raise the side of his pants. Though the lady couldn't believe what she had done, there were quiet mutters among the passengers when they saw what he had disclosed. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Thomas Scott was a dedicated worker at a Fort Worth, Texas grocery shop. There was nothing unusual about today. After working another 10-hour shift, he was eager to get home. As he made the regular drive to the bus terminal, he turned off his thoughts. Arriving barely in time, he welcomed the bus driver and boarded. At this time of day, the bus was fuller than normal. He walked all the way to the back and sat down at one of the few available chairs. It was Thomas's first time sitting down in 11 hours, and he felt relieved. He settled down and took stock of his surroundings. At that moment, his gaze locked on a strange face. A youngster of about 19 was seated a few seats distant from him. Although he was accustomed to seeing the same folks on his bus as he did every day, he had never seen this youngster before. The child was seated in a handicapped seat when he caught his attention. These were designated for use by the handicapped expectant mothers and nursing mothers. Several more passengers boarded the bus when it arrived at its first stop, including a mother and her 2 little children. The woman's gaze found the youngster in the reserved seat, and Thomas saw it. She was obviously repulsed by his presence there. He appeared to be in excellent health, so why was he sitting there? She was glaring at him now, haughtily. The kid looked ahead of him, ignoring her evident looks as she was looking. Instead, he chose to turn to face the window. Thomas's gaze strayed from him and returned to the irritated woman. The amount of wrath in her eyes at this moment startled him. The fact that the teenager was ignoring her irritated her. She became agitated. Her menacing gaze did not frighten him. Taking a deep breath, Thomas prepared himself for what she was about to do. The woman chose to be more direct when she saw that her attempts to convince him to offer his seat were failing. She approached the teenager. Thomas readied himself psychologically for the course of this. She paused at his chair, bowed, and spoke something loud enough for all to hear. All eyes shifted to her and the kid. She didn't appear to impress him. Thomas understood that she would get even more enraged by the boy's attitude. As she spoke to him, the woman lost control of her anger and said, "Do you understand you're sitting in a designated seat for vulnerable people? You would give that seat to someone more worthy if you were polite." She waited for him to answer, folding her arms. She thought he would apologize and ask for forgiveness, but she would have to wait a lot longer. Unaware that her strategy would epically backfire, the woman persisted in her attempt to teach the teen a lesson, even though he remained silent. "I have 2 little ones at home. Young guy, the instant you saw me get on this bus, you ought to have extended that seat to me." Now, if someone wasn't listening, they were. The bus was filled with quiet. In his front mirror, Thomas saw the driver keeping a close eye on the situation. With his head up, the teenage kid surveyed the group of people gazing at him. A few were giving a disapproving shake of their heads. Some, like Thomas, could not stop wondering what his response might be. Thomas had no idea what was going to happen next. Thomas pondered whether things would get physical. It honestly didn't seem like this child gave a damn about anything. Ready to dial for assistance if necessary, he reached for his phone. With no comment, the kid got to his feet. Thinking she had won this struggle, the woman started to grin, but she was very incorrect. The child stabilized himself by reaching for the bus's handlebars. "You think you deserve this seat just because you're a mom." He was shaken. The youngster had on clunky sneakers, a black jacket, and denim trousers. Thomas could tell what a kind boy he was. There was one earplug in his ear still. Thomas was tense and nervous. This young man showed courage by confronting the haughty woman in front of everyone, but he needed to exercise caution, or else a bus full of people might turn against him. Anger swiftly replaced the woman's grin. She said, "Yes, I definitely deserve it more than you." With a sardonic chuckle, the youngster reached down and took hold of his pants. As he strained to extract something from his jeans, The lad glanced at the curious looks in everyone's eyes. He played with his bootleg denim jeans, pulling at the ends until the material gave apart. Wondering what in the world he was going to take out of his garment, everyone watched with trepidation. Needless to say, nobody, especially the entitled woman, saw it coming. Thomas was alert as hell. He was aware of Texas's strict firearms restrictions. He immediately thought of the worst-case situation. His gaze lingered on the teenage boy's hands, his heart thumping. He saw a metal rod beneath his pants at that moment. A shiver ran down his back. The youngster kicked out his prosthetic leg and pulled up his jeans. On the bus, there was a loud gasp. All of a sudden, people were appalled that this small child had to prove himself to her. Thomas saw the mother's face flushed crimson from humiliation and guilt. She was suddenly unable to speak, and everyone was staring at her. She was unable to say anything. Rather, she returned silently to her upright position. The youngster sat back down and straightened his clothes after taking a quick glance at everyone. Thomas was in shock at what had just transpired. A strong emotion suddenly overcame him. He was really sorry for the youngster. He nearly had a heart attack. He suddenly saw his brother, who had lost a limb in battle and was also amputee. His heart ached with guilt to think that his brother was going through what the young man had just gone through. He hoped that embarrassed him not. Thus, a thought occurred to him. Thomas said, "Dude, look at that leg! You are a disgrace, woman!" His few words of wisdom encouraged other travelers to follow suit. The child was met with a sudden outpouring of encouragement and support, and judging by his response, it didn't take long for him to smile once more. He appeared to be far more self-assured. Others gave him back pats and expressed regret for observing him go through that. Above all, Thomas learned that day that it is never appropriate to make snap judgments about others based just on appearance, particularly when it comes to a person's health or disability. Many persons who have illnesses appear to be in excellent health. This is the reason it's crucial to always treat people with respect, decency, and understanding. Exactly what Thomas did when he made his next decision. Thomas came up to the young child and sat next to him when everyone had done defending him. He started telling him about his brother, who suffered from the same illness. He informed him about his brother's limb loss and how well he's doing since then, winning gold in competitive sports, in fact. Thomas invited the youngster to call him if he'd ever like to meet someone like him, and when the boy smiled, he provided him his number. Maybe they had a connection that others wouldn't be able to comprehend. The teenage boy's eyes sparked and his face brightened. He said to Thomas that he would love to chat to him and that he had never met someone like him. After all, the two got together and clicked. The youngster now has a friend who is cognizant of his situation. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.